Hi, in this video I'm going to go over the basics of energy balance, which is how we gain or lose any weight, and macros. So energy balance is usually described by this acronym, CICO or PSYCHO, calories in, calories out. And this is based off of the first law of thermodynamics, which says that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, it's just transferred or modified. And we see this as we consume food in the form of calories, either beverages or actual food. Food comes into the system and it's got to go somewhere. We're either going to use it or we're going to store it. So let's say we're going to use the fat in our food or the fat in our bodies. Where the heck does it go? The byproduct of fat metabolism is threefold. One is the most well known, and that's ATP. ATP is the energy source in our bodies that is created from calories, from fat metabolism, also from carbohydrates, but a lot more is created from fat. It's just not quite as fast as from carbs. So ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. It's required from blinking your eyes to moving your body through space. The other two are water, and a big one that a lot of people don't realize is carbon dioxide, breathing. So when someone says, hey, where the heck does our fat go after we burn it? A lot of it comes out of our mouth. We breathe our fat out because carbon dioxide is a byproduct of fat metabolism. So we produce ATP, which produces our movement. After the movement, we get hot, the heat dissipates, and we also start sweating. So you can see that through that first law, energy is not created nor destroyed. It just goes to different places. It's used or stored, it's breathed out, or it creates this heat. We see this energy moving all around. This first law is vitally important for how we gain or lose any weight, because it just doesn't magically disappear. The quantity of how much food goes into the body, how much energy comes into the body, and the quantity of how much we move throughout the day is most important for determining or figuring out how we lose weight or why we aren't losing weight, and how we gain weight or why we're gaining weight. So the change in fat mass equals the energy or calories into the body, which is usually food and beverages, minus the energy out of the body, which in research is usually represented by TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. As I'm going to get into a future video, I'm going to break that down because exercise is just one small form of how we burn energy throughout the day. And this 24-hour total energy expenditure needs to be weighed against all the energy that came into the system during that same 24 hours. So as I wrote here, this is truly the only rule for fat loss. Now, all diets work. And no matter what someone says about why that diet is working, the common denominator every single time, no matter which diet it is following this rule. It's decreasing the total calories that are coming into the system. Sometimes because there might be more energy coming into the system, it also helps someone move more. So it increases the other side of the equation. But no matter what diet it is, when it's working because of this. Every single time, no exceptions. There is only one rule to dieting. There must be an overall caloric deficit for the diet to work. And I have a big arrow here because I must have something over here. Okay, here's our diet. Here's what that diet changes in your life. And here's why it works. Let's get a closer look. All right, so here we've got low carb or a ketogenic diet. Typically a low carb is defined by anything under 100 grams of carbohydrate per day. A ketogenic diet is usually under 50 grams of carbs per day. These aren't exact numbers. A ketogenic diet is something where you're producing dietary ketones, and that can be specific to the person. So what have you done? You've decreased carbs and sugar. Why is it working? It's working because you've decreased overall calories in your day. Paleo and Whole30. Whole30 works for a lot of people. No wonder. Look at all the drastic things you're changing in your life. You've decreased grains. A lot of times you've completely taken away all sugar, especially on a Whole30. You've eliminated dairy, you've eliminated legumes, you've taken out seed oils like cottonseed oil, safflower oil, things like that. You're predominantly using lard, butter, grass-fed butter, of course. So what have you done? You've created sort of a dogma. You've convinced yourself these things are unhealthy, and because I've taken out things that are unhealthy in my life, that's why I feel better. Now, I want to be clear. This is independent, technically, from talking about health, because some people really do have an issue with dairy. Some people really do have an issue with gluten. So me talking about all this isn't discouraging those very real things, but even with those people, while removing dairy and gluten might be making them healthier, removing them isn't the reason they lost weight. Every single time, no exceptions, the only reason someone can lose weight over time is because they have decreased the total amount of energy coming into the system, which is a decrease in calories. So vegan, you're not eating meat. A lot of times vegans don't eat sugar as well, amongst other things. You've decreased total calories. Fasting. Fasting is an obvious one. Why does fasting work? You decrease your meals, you decrease your calories. It's not because of something magical about fasting. Fasting can work better for other people, but when it is working, it's working because you've decreased your overall calories. Clean eating. Honestly, clean eating is very ambiguous, and I think it's very unhealthy. It's unhealthy more so because of the relationship someone has with their food. It usually looks very similar to a paleo diet, but there can be a lot of other things. People are worried about the GMOs. They're worried if it's organic or not. And usually it creates so much worry in someone's life, people can develop an eating disorder, and that eating disorder is called orthorexia. Do a little bit more research on that if you want. I'm not going to talk about that here. I'm not an advocate of clean eating because I don't think it supports a healthy relationship with food. Not only that, a lot of the proponents of clean eating are simply saying things that are not true. But the reason clean eating might work for someone is because it's decreasing their overall calories. All right, let's get back over here. Let's talk about macros a little bit. I'm gonna break down the calories in versus calories out equation practically, but still very simplistically for this video. Okay, so calories come primarily through the edible form of micronutrients and macronutrients. The difference between macros and micros is simply the size. So micronutrients are so tiny that they contribute so little calories they're not going to be significant enough to contribute to fat gain or fat loss. If you take melatonin, you might see that you only take maybe 3 milligrams, 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams would be crazy high for melatonin. I take under 1 milligram of melatonin oftentimes, 300 mcgs, micrograms of melatonin. So that contributes no significant calories, it's so tiny. That's the reason they're called micronutrients, just because of the size. So what nutrients are larger? Macronutrients. And the primary macronutrients are protein, carbs, and fat. Technically, alcohol and fiber are also macronutrients because they're larger. So yes, alcohol contributes calories, and so does fiber to a smaller extent. Fiber contributes calories mainly through its conversion into short-chain fatty acids in the large intestines, like butyrate, for instance, if you want to research that on your own. But the primary macros are just 3: protein, carbs, and fats. Now, the specific amount of calories per macronutrient is also important. Protein contains 4 calories per gram, carbohydrates contain also 4 calories per gram, and fat contains over double the amount of calories compared to proteins and carbs at 9 calories per gram. So for most people who aren't drinking alcohol, the total amount of protein, carbs, and fats equals the total amount of calories in your entire day. If you are a drinker, you would just need to count those alcohol calories if you are tracking your calories in your specific plan. Now, how do we apply all this to our equation to lose body weight? Well, it's important to know that a rough estimate for the amount of 1 pound of fat equals is roughly 3,500 calories. Now, it's not an exact number. Roughly 1 pound of fat equals 3,500 calories. So let's say you wanted to lose 1 pound of fat per week. Well, there's 7 days in a week, so we would take 3,500 calories, divide that by 7. That equals 500 calories. So you would have to consume 500 less calories than you're already eating, or burn 500 more calories than you're already eating if you would want to lose just 1 pound per week. Now, how the heck do we figure this out? Because something that's very important to know before you can do that is how many calories you're even consuming right now. And this is called the maintenance caloric number. If you are actually tracking everything, the maintenance caloric number is how many calories you consume without losing or gaining any body weight. Now, this can be accurately found by tracking your diet for 1 to 2 weeks. Take your average number there, and that's your maintenance calories. Now, there's also calculators you can use online that are a little less accurate, but that doesn't matter so much because you can always tweak a dieting plan as you go along. So let's say your maintenance calories are 2,000. And we said if you want to lose 1 pound of fat, 3,500 calories, per week, you need a 500 caloric deficit per day. So you would need to consume 1,500 calories instead of your current 2,000 every day if you want to lose 1 pound in a week. Or if your maintenance caloric number was 1,500, in the same respect, you would have to consume 1,000 calories per day in order to lose 1 pound per week. Now, of course, this could be 1,700 calories with 200 calories as a cardio or exercise detriment as well. Okay, that's it for the basics of this video. Now, if you're a little confused by any of this, or if you're thinking, geez, I have to do all this math to lose any weight, the answer is no. Because you don't actually have to count calories to lose weight. Counting calories is helpful. It's important to just realize the mechanism behind weight loss. The mechanism behind weight loss every single time is a caloric or energy deficit. Now, strategies for weight loss, such as behavioral changes, or a lot of the diets I showed over here, like removing entire food groups, or mindfulness cueing, thinking about your food, thinking about your body and how you feel, all those can lead to fullness, which can lead to less calories consumed, which can lead to weight loss, which is all this without doing all this. Counting calories is simply one method similar to many different methods. What I've been speaking about is the actual mechanism behind weight loss, because that's very important to understand, and that's what energy balance is all about. And if you can control your energy balance, you technically can use whatever method you want as long as it fits within the energy balance equation. Okay, in the next video, I'm going to get even more in depth with what the heck this energy out equation is, why people stop losing weight, or they don't even start losing weight in the first place. There's why people as they age have a more difficult time losing weight. And the reason behind that is this equation is not static. It actually fluctuates throughout the diet and throughout our aging process. Just because you have a 500 caloric deficit on day 1 doesn't mean you have one by day 90, which is really interesting. And the key word here in my next video is going to be called metabolic adaptation. So if you want to be extra prepared for the next video, you can research into metabolic adaptation. It's completely optional, of course, because I'm going to explain it. All right, that's it for this video, the basics of energy balance and macros. Please let me know if you have any questions.